everybody. Please join me. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
Welcome to Sunday service. Sound quiet this morning. I never quite know when I speak in the microphone if I'm going to be yelling at you or not. Let's start our time together today with a reading from the Daily Word. Sunday, August 27th. The world's problems can feel so overwhelming and its needs so great that we may wonder how our individual efforts could make much of a difference. But every action we take can contribute to world peace. We remember there are people throughout the world who feel the way we do. And now they can hear me. I would be happy to. Good morning. Welcome to Sunday service at Everett Unity. The world's problems can feel so overwhelming and its needs so great that we may wonder how our individual efforts could make much of a difference. But every action we take can contribute to world peace. We remember there are people throughout the world who feel the way we do. So many are doing what they can to bring light and love to their neighborhoods and communities. We feel comforted realizing we are not alone in our efforts. Peace begins with each person and inspires others as it spreads, uniting all the world's people to live and thrive in harmony and cooperation. We are meant to live in peace. We hold that vision and offer compassionate service as a way to make our dream for world peace a reality for all of us. And the scripture today from Romans chapter 14, verse 19. Let us then pursue what makes for peace and for mutual upbuilding. Mutual upbuilding. I like that. Our opening statement, I join with others to build a peaceful world. Let's say that together. I join with others to build a peaceful world. Our chaplain will lead us in an opening prayer.
Good morning. I didn't expect to bring that frog with me today. Oh, my goodness. Well, let us all join in prayer this morning as we get going with the service. As we come together today, I know that we are centered in our individual spaces, and we are grounded in spirit as we allow Spirit to open us up to the message of today, our final lesson on will for this month. And know that we are always working with divine will in the choices we make and the actions we take. And I know that we are all guided by Spirit's goodness and light and love. And as we go about our daily lives, we emit this spiritual light from within us that guides us to help others whether we know them or not. Just a passing in the grocery store or along the street, anywhere we see people, we know that we are all connected by spirit. And I am so very grateful to know this truth. And I release this word knowing that it is so. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Candy. We're going to sing together from our Melodies from the Heart songbook. Savannah will lead us in song number 73, Stand As You Are Able, and we'll sing together.
I also brought a frog with me. Said I brought a frog too. Yeah.
Make me an instrument, Lord, of thy peace, as I let go, as I release. Make me an instrument, humble and free. As I let go, as I release, make me an instrument, humble and free. As I awaken the living Christ in me. One more time. Make me an instrument, Lord, of thy peace, as I let go, as I release. Make me an instrument, humble and free. As I awaken the living Christ in me. Beautiful.
You sounded lovely from up here. That's the benefit of being up front, isn't it, James? You get all that beautiful sound and energy coming this way. Well, welcome to Everett Unity again. Happy Sunday morning. I'm glad you could join us today. Before we start the bulk of our service, the important part, the meditation and the lesson, I would like to introduce you to the people who are most visibly serving you. I do that for a couple of reasons: to publicly thank all of our volunteers, because I'm telling you, this whole thing couldn't happen without them, but also so that you can slowly start to learn names and get to know who our people are. So I'd like to start with our ushers. You were greeted by Mary and Treese. Our social hour is being hosted by Orion, and special coffee making skills from Lonnie. Our audio video support is being provided by Josh and Walter today. Candy, our chaplain, you met her a moment ago. Terry and Savannah are providing music for us. My name is Cindy, and Reverend James Tierney is back with us again this morning. Welcome. We had a little bit of a shake-up in our speaker schedule this month. Summer does that. So all of a sudden people are like, I can't come this Sunday. Could I come this Sunday? So we made it all work. I'd like to remind you, if you brought your cell phone in with you today, if you would turn that off real quick so we could have a nice quiet meditation here in a moment. And then just a couple of announcements, a couple of housekeeping things I'd like to remind you. In the hallway back there at the top of the stairs is a suggestion box and the prayer box. If you have either of those two things, an idea for the board, something you'd like to get, information you'd like to get to me, drop it in the suggestion box. If you'd like our chaplains to provide prayer support for you for any reason, drop your prayer request in the prayer box. And then just a reminder about parking. Only parking around the church is on street, so if you are in a parking lot or in the alley anywhere, that's not our parking. So just a reminder, on street parking only. And then a reminder for those of you who are regular attendees at Family Fun Night, we will not be doing that this coming Friday. This is the beginning of Labor Day weekend, so we figured a lot of you would be traveling or out and about doing other things, so we will be back with bells on in October. And then I wanted to talk briefly about our community discernment process. Many of you were involved in that whole community conversation that we had with Reverend Jenny Smith before she moved. We have our final report. We're getting ready to send that out to you. And 2 Sundays from now, on Sunday, September 10th, instead of a regular coffee hour, we're going to have a spaghetti feed. We hope you will come and eat spaghetti for lunch with us. We'll have meat and vegetarian sauce options, but we're going to provide food for you and continue the discussion about the final report. So I will be emailing that report out to you. So if you do not get a weekly email from me and you want that report, you need to let me know your email address so I can add you to the list. So those of you in the room, those of you online, anyone who wants the email with the final report from Jenny, please let me make sure I have your email and I will get it to you. So 2 Sundays from today, Sunday, September 10th, right after the service, we'll gather together downstairs, we'll eat together, and we will continue the conversation about where this church is headed and what role each of you would like to play in that. So it's pretty exciting conversation. Okay, right, Pam? Okay. Well, let's sing together again. Same songbook, Melodies from the Heart, song number 26. Stand as you are able, and we'll sing together again.
I give because I believe in love. I give because I believe in love. I give because I believe in love, and love is given to me. I give because I believe in joy. I give because I believe in joy. I give because I believe in joy, and joy is given to me. I give because I believe in peace. I give because I believe in peace. I give because I believe in peace, and peace is given to me. Love, one more time. I give because I believe in love. I give because I believe in love. I give because I believe in love, and love is given to me. Amen.
All right, settle in now. Thank you. All right, let's settle in now and we'll get ready for meditation.
So happy to be here. We're going to do today a meditation. It actually is one of a series of meditations I've been bringing you on opening ourselves to love. And so what we start by is inhaling into our hearts and then exhale from our heart. And what we want to do is picture someone or something that we're grateful for in our hearts. Often a pet, a family member, In my case, it's this beautiful congregation in this beautiful building, this family. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to come and visit with you guys every month. But as we picture that in our heart, we feel the gratitude, and we can feel it build until it fills our hearts. And we continue inhaling, and each inhalation goes straight into our heart, and each exhalation goes straight out from our hearts. And we relax into the chair as we move our attention to our hearts, to the feeling of gratitude, of love, and of ease. Can we let it be easy? There's nothing to do and nowhere to go but sit here, basking in, radiating in our love, our ease. And can you allow yourself to lean back into that love, that ease? And notice that it fills our hearts, it fills our bodies, and it expands beyond. So now it's not our individual love, ease, and gratitude, but we're overlapping with each of us, whether in the sanctuary or at home, or even watching the sermon at a different time. Love lives in a world beyond space and time. So no distance is too great, no time is too far. We're all connected in oneness now. And as we relax into that love, that gratitude, we just find it easy. We find ourselves completely relaxed. And we notice that presence of love within us. As it interpenetrates every cell, as it surrounds and enfolds us. Is there any difference between us and the presence of love? Or are we one and the same? Is this our true selves? The oneness of love, the oneness of presence. And let's just sit in the stillness. And whenever you're ready, you can take another deep inhalation and exhale. And as you slowly return your awareness to the room, just know that love, that presence, that ease, that gratitude is always with you. Is always you. The world sometimes demands our attention, and we can give the world what it needs while continuing to know and feel the love that is us. The ease, the sure knowledge that we are supported, we are loved, we are loving. Thank you.
Nothing to seek, nothing to gain, nothing to know, nothing to lose, nothing to do, but let go. Let's rest here where the future and past disappear. Here in the sanctity of now. Nothing to prove, nothing to own, no one to be. Nowhere to move, already home, already free. Let's just stay in the cave of the heart today and bask in this ever-present love. Nothing to fix, nothing to change, nothing to fight. Only what is, what if what is just right. Why not trust this mystery living us and rest in the refuge of the self? Nothing to judge, no one to blame or fear. Only my face greeting me here in the mirror. Nowhere to turn, nowhere to hide, nobody else. Nothing outside that isn't inside myself. Let's just see, is anyone here but me? Here in the present moment now. Nothing to know, nothing to do, no one to be. to go, already home, already free. Nowhere to go, already home, already free. Nowhere to go, already home, already free.
Thank you, Terry and Savannah. And how, that's just so interesting. What if what is just right? What if what is right now is just right? I talk about us walking in two worlds, the physical world and the divine world. And in the divine world, everything is just right. And we have that within us, and we bring that everywhere. And in the physical world, maybe everything is unfolding perfectly and naturally at its own pace, and we are a part of that unfoldment. Our will, our expressing our divinity, our existing in the world. So it's wonderful to have music that brings that out. I think just that possibility makes me feel happier and more hopeful. So I was really excited when I found out that, when Cindy told me that in 2023 we were going to be doing the 12 powers, 1 power per month. And I thought, I love exemplars from powers, but they're mostly men. So I thought, well, why not do all women? There's so much to choose from. And of course, I have an abundance of riches. But because of this building, you know, we operate in a formerly Christian Science church. Mary Baker Eddy came right to mind. And I knew when I saw that August was the month for will, that this was Mary Baker Eddy's month. Mary Baker Eddy's, when I think of will, I think of Mary Baker Eddy. That woman was a dynamo. And she changed the world. She made unity possible in the world. She really laid the foundation for a lot of what we love about the world today. It's interesting, her life, we can divide her life. She was transformed in exactly the middle of her life. Her life up to age 45 is a very adventurous life, but not a life of a lot of successes. A life of willing and trying and pushing, and often being defeated, but never giving up. And her life for the second 44 and a half years was a dynamic life of changing the world and bringing into existence, you know, what we see now as new thought. So I'm going to talk about her, but I want to start off by talking about what I've been doing this week. I had to switch Sundays, and thank you, Cindy, for helping organize this, because I led a men's retreat in Cedar-Woolley last weekend, and I still haven't mastered bilocation, so I had to be there. And it was a wonderful retreat. And then right when I got back home from that retreat, I got in a bus and went to a unitreat retreat in Camp Cedar Ridge in Vernonia, Oregon. Now, how many of you guys have ever been to a unitreat or have known any uniteens? I guess we have okay, so we have a few. What what we do at Unitreat, you arrive at this camp in nature with, in this case, with 18 kids age 11 to 14. And the idea is that everybody will undergo a transformation by the end of the week. When they start off at camp, they are normal 11 to 14-year-olds looking for someone to blame. You know, is there a possibility there's no one to blame? Well, we hope to transform consciousness. Feeling like the victim, you know, missing their cell phones that just got taken away, feeling like living in a bunk house with 12 bunk beds is not as nice as their private bedrooms they have at home. And then they're given challenges to accomplish. And the biggest thing that I heard over and over again, they're like, "You're in trouble." Am I in trouble? Because they live in a world of kids being in trouble, of rules to follow, of never being good enough, of never able to live up to the rules. Whatever rule you live up to, they make different rules that you failed to live up to, and you have to do that. It's sort of life as an 11 to 14-year-old is a difficult spot. And so this is why we went to transform them. And I'll move into the rest of the transformation after we transform Mary Baker Eddy. So Mary Baker Eddy does the power of will, which is it's the controlling, directing faculty of mind. One can have the desire to be well and yet not have the will to be well. So will is your sure decision that this is what's going to happen. But there's human will and there's divine will. And human will can be very powerful. And we'll actually see that. Let's walk through, well, the point of my sermon is that will needs love. Will by itself can be willfulness. It can be frustrating. It can feel like banging against a brick wall. But when you combine the power of will with the power of love, suddenly things change. So remember, love is what connects the universe. You know, love is, you know, our heart is our organ of spiritual sight. And love holds the universe together. You can feel the love between people. When you love something, you're really looking out for its best well-being. So by radiating love, you're bringing in the divine power, that divine presence within you, which is love, which bubbles love. And so you're not only feeling the emotion of love and the connection to the thing, but just doing that connects you to this infinite channel of divine love and divine power that you can use for your divine will to move forward. I think it leads to greater discernment of will, but it's also just that your will, when it's based in love, it's something more people are interested in. You know, there's like, someone expresses a good idea and they do it sort of flatly, and you're like, okay. But when you feel it, like when they're just immersed in love for you and love for the world and love for what is going to happen, you're like, yeah, you get carried off by their will, and so then you get help, you get assistance. So Mary Baker Eddy started off, you know, in 1821, which was not a good time for women. Women they weren't quite property, but they weren't allowed to own property. The property was owned by their male relatives in the United States. She was the youngest of 6 children, and she had a very supportive family, but her father was a fire and brimstone preacher. So the God she knew was an angry God, and you were going to get fire and brimstone if you didn't do what God said. And this is the God she went into the world with. She, like her father, she was a very powerful orator. They couldn't afford to send her to school, But at church, they loved her so much, the church put together enough money to pay her tuition so she could go to school. And she graduated at the top of her class. She was an excellent writer and became a journalist. At the age of 21, she married George Washington Glover, who was a friend of her older brother Samuel, and they moved to North Carolina, where she got pregnant and had a baby, George Washington Glover II. But she didn't she saw slavery all around her, and it didn't seem right. She didn't think that people should be property, and she wrote against that, which didn't endear her to her neighbors in North Carolina. But she was an eyewitness, to what slavery really was in her world. Her husband died of yellow fever 3 months before the child was born. And I think the combination of that shock and the lack of support she had in her life and the difficulties of pregnancy led her to becoming an invalid. She could barely look after herself, much less her rambunctious, active baby. She moved back home with the baby, and she kept the baby until he was 4, at which point the grandparents came in and said, "That baby's not yours, that's ours, because that's our son." And they took the baby from her. And this was the way the laws worked in the United States, in the 1840s. Yeah. Women could, right, if you were a widow, you didn't even own your children. So she tried to live nearby, but by the time he was 10, the family moved away because they found they didn't want her to be an influence on him. They told him that she died, but he didn't believe it, and he went on believing he'd find his mother. He did. He volunteered to fight in the Civil War because he also thought that slavery was, not something that, he didn't think people should be property either. He maybe got that from his mother. And he was underage, but actually there's a funny story. He was underage and he went to sign up, and they wouldn't sign him up because they said you're too young. And then 2 people were making fun of him for being too young, and he beat them up. And the recruiting sergeant said, "If you have that much fight in you, we got to take that fight to the Confederacy." So he got signed up, and this worked out for him. He never learned to read or write. His mother thought that was important, but his grandparents are like, "You're a boy, what do boys need with reading and writing?" But in the war, there was a gentleman in his regiment who knew how to read and write, and he'd write letters for you. And he actually located his mother and sent letters. George Washington Glover II would dictate letters to his mother that then would get sent. And so they were in touch. So that was one nice thing that happened in the Civil War. Mary Baker Eddy, so she was an invalid. She actually ended up marrying a guy a dentist, so he was a man of means, so they could afford to send her to the finest doctors. And they sent her to all kinds of doctors, and she was still having trouble until she met Phineas B. Quimby. Now, how many of you have heard of Phineas B. Quimby? A few. Okay. Oh, actually, more than a few. Phineas B. Quimby was a mesmerist. So he would heal people using animal magnetism. He would take you and he'd say, you are not, he basically convinced your mind and yourself and your body that you were not prone to illness, that you are healed, whole, you are whole, perfect, and complete. And then once your mind was convinced of that, it would carry your body along. All your cells would start operating in conjunction with your mind. And this was the first healing technique that had ever worked on Mary Baker Eddy. But it didn't last very long. She got healed, she talked about walking up 182 steps. And when she'd go to Quimby, she could walk up 182 steps, whereas normally she could barely get out of bed. But it would last like a few days or a few weeks. So she kept having to go back to Quimby for more, but she liked it, and she was enjoying that process. In 1866, in the winter, she fell on the ice and suffered a severe spinal injury, which left her in constant, excruciating pain, and she couldn't get out of bed because she couldn't move any of her limbs. She couldn't move her lower limbs. And so she laid in bed in pain, and on the third day, she picked up the Bible and started reading the Bible, and she read in the Bible that it's that, ye shall know the truth. And for people at home, I'm pointing to the saying by Christ Jesus on the wall. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. And she knew that the truth was that God was a God of infinite love. She could feel the infinite love. The hellfire and brimstone God that her father preached was not the God of her that she was evidencing in her life. She could feel she was overcome by the infinite power of God, by the infinite love of God, and she could feel it, and she was instantly healed. And she worked on it. It took her 2 years before she had like completely gotten the method where it was solid enough that she was healing other people and writing textbooks on healing and training people on healing. But this was the moment of transformation, when she was in utter despair, constant pain, couldn't get up out of bed, and then she suddenly was overwhelmed by infinite love, by infinite peace, by infinite joy. And we'll go into what she did in a minute. I want to get back to the teens. So we have our teenagers come in feeling like victims, and they're given challenges. What do we do to transform our teenagers from feeling like victims, from feeling powerless, into knowing the truth of themselves, that the Spirit of God is within them, the Spirit of God is them. You know, there's the three faces of God, and we are all three faces. We are identical to God. When we feel the love of God, we know that love is us. But we also know that the universe loves us, that God loves us, that divinity loves us, and that we can rely on a friendly universe to support us. And we also know, the third person point of view, that God operates everywhere in the universe, on all the other people, on all the other beings in the universe. And so we know surely that the universe is operating smoothly. You know, maybe everything is unfolding as it should. What if what is just right? So these are our three faces of God, and this is what we wanted the kids to experience. And we do it through song. There's lots of sing-along songs. We do it through art. Everybody creates works of art. We came home with a T-shirt, which I left at home. I'd show you. And they did it through challenge courses. There are courses where you have to work at a team and challenge yourself. And nobody can do it alone. Everybody has to work on it together. So, and I think this is what, Mary Baker Eddy found, is her voice alone, her will alone was not enough to heal her. Her desire wasn't enough. It was when she surrendered to the infinite love of God. It's when she surrendered to her true self that then she could see, it wasn't a life of waste. It wasn't a wasted life of frustration. It was a life that taught her everything she needed to know to start Christian Science and New Thought. She was the one who coined the phrase, Jesus is master teacher. So when she read in the Bible, when Jesus would say something, and he'd say, and this and more you shall do, he's like, tell it, brother. Thank you for that. Over here, once again, I'm pointing to the wall. when you guys at home come into the church, you'll be able to see the Mary Baker Eddy and the Jesus quotes. It says, divine love has, wait, does it say divine love? Oh, divine love has met and will always meet every human need. Yeah, her calligraphy is way better than my handwriting. So it's wonderful. The first time I ever gave a talk in this church, a woman came up to me after the talk and said, I grew up in this church, this Christian Science church, as a little girl. And I'm so happy to be back here and so happy to see that Unity is giving us the same message of infinite love, of empowering ourselves, of health as our birthright. And so, you know, we continue in that tradition. So the kids learn to do all kinds of challenges, all kinds of songs. You know, the kids who came together on camp as strangers left as best friends. At the very end, we gave them back their phones, and all they wanted to do with their phones was collect contact information from each other, from all their new best friends. And on the bus ride home, they were sending and getting messages from all their friends. You know, so it's the Northwest region Unitreat, and so kids from Bend, Oregon, Portland, Oregon, Linwood, Montana, Missoula, Montana, all these kids came, and I know our kids will go to fall Unitreat, we hope. But they left empowered in themselves, and they left as part of a team. The wisdom of us is the name of this particular Unitreat. So this is, how much wisdom do you have? You know, nobody is wiser than everybody put together. So we as a group, if we're all empowered in our Christ selves, have this wisdom. And it was love and will. There were lots of love songs, songs about connecting with each other, songs about loving the world. So Mary Baker Eddy coined the phrase Father, Mother, God, and God's pronouns are she and her. A lot of the people who are running the Christian Science Church and the Christian Science Monitor and the Christian Science Journal and the Massachusetts Metaphysical Institute were women. She, you know, coming from a world where she couldn't even own, she had no rights to her child. She made a bunch of successful businesses that are still operating now. Well, Massachusetts Metaphysical Institute operated for a few years, had 800 graduates, and then closed down because she really wanted to put that energy into the Christian Science Church. Emma Curtis Hopkins, people have heard of her, our teacher of teachers. She taught the Fillmores, but first she started out finding out about Christian Science from Mary Baker Eddy, and she was the editor of the Christian Science Journal, and really Mary Baker Eddy's #2 person. She ended up, you know, I think thankfully for us, moving out and becoming an independent teacher of people, because Mary Baker Eddy was like, it's all about Christianity. You know, Christianity in America in the 1880s and 1890s is where Mary Baker Eddy wanted to harness her wagon, because Christianity had that energy and had that power. Emma Curtis Hopkins is like, well, Hinduism says interesting things, and what about all these other religions? She's like, don't waste your time with that. It's not a waste of time, okay? Go someplace else. Do not write this stuff in the Christian Science Journal. And so Christian Science had, 1,700 churches, anywhere between 100,000 and 500,000 members. It was a big deal, and it still is. I have a Christian Science friend who both her children went to Christian Science University, and you know where they got, it's Principia College in Illinois. If any of you want to send your kid there, They're fine children who got a fine education. So that's even still going. But she really sort of ushered in a new world, and she was astoundingly successful. It's interesting. Mark Twain, she sold a lot of books for Mark Twain. He really loved to make fun of her, and it's because she was a successful businesswoman. When she died, her estate was worth $3 million, which in modern funds is about $60 million. So, and this from somebody who was so poor she couldn't afford to. She had to fundraise to go to school, to finish high school, to learn how to read and write. So from that beginning, she could create an empire, not. Mark Twain thought she was the greediest woman in the world, but really she was charging what it was worth, and she changed everybody's consciousness, and well, it's the principle of prosperity. In Christian Science, it isn't just healing, it's God will prosper you. She believed, like Course in Miracles believes that this world is a dream, and the real world is the world of the divine. And this is close to what Mary Baker Eddy believed, that the way I explain it is the world we live in is a world of constant change, and the divine world is a world beyond time and space, the world of timelessness and spacelessness. And so if you're talking about eternal truths, the eternal truth is that we are always love, we are always loving. And we may be having a little bit of road rage, but that's not the truth of us. The truth of us is that we are eternal love, and we can use that love and our will to make something happen. So I just want to do, it's a little exercise I did with the kids that I think demonstrates a little power of will. And I did this, it was actually the chief happiness officer of Google wrote about this. But the Buddhists have a prayer saying, may you be happy, may you be well. And what the chief happiness officer said was, he just wants you to peer out. He actually would assign it twice an hour. He wants you to pick two people and think, may you be happy at them. So you use your divine will and love to try to make the other person, to want the other person to be happy. And what's interesting, they've done scientific studies on this. The first thing that happens when you say, may you be happy, is you become happier. Whenever I say it in my head, my heart instantly uplifts. And they're happier too. It works both ways. So it isn't like you're tricking yourself. You're doing a good deed which ricochets onto yourself. So we're going to use our will. Oh, and what the kids like to do and what they like to do at Google. In Star Wars, their little guns make pew, 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 pew noises. So some people, because it's quicker, I know, like me, when they think it's just quicker, instead of thinking, may you be happy, you think, pew, 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 and imagine everybody is happier. Okay, like fairy dust. So let's go back, let's open our hearts. So let's just picture something that brings us joy, that makes us laugh, that makes us happy, the gratitude. Breathe into your heart. And then just look around or just think of somebody. They don't even have to be here. And either think, may you be happy, or pew, 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 pew. And notice what effect it has. You can have your eyes open or closed for it. You can either look at them or just imagine them. When I felt gloomy, I imagined the universe was shooting those happy rays at me, and that really worked. So that's an example of love and will. Why not? We have divine will. Why not will others to be happy? People we know, people we don't know. What better thing to do when you see a homeless person, or when you see somebody a politician you don't like in the news? You can wish them happiness, and at least that person will have made the world a little happier. So Mary Baker Eddy, a little bit on the architecture. Notice above, I don't know if you can see it at home, but when you come in, you'll be able to see it. There's an eternal flame. It looks a little like a soft serve ice cream because it's painted white. But the eternal flame represents the divine in us. The stained glass windows is how we get the light, but it's tinged and made more beautiful by our individual worldviews. The columns in the back and in the front of the building are Doric columns. They're the earlier of the classical Greek columns. And they represent the voices of democracy from antiquity, that really the ancient Greeks and the ancient Romans empowered every citizen to be the best they could be, to be free, to think for themselves. And this is what Mary Baker Eddy wanted to do. She wanted to give you the power, and then you'd think for yourself. And so our church represents that. It represents self-empowerment. It represents the divine that's within all of us. It represents the beauty we can bring to the world with our divine vision. And we can all take that will and make our world a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Did you say it was Mark Twain that
Mark Twain.
thought Mary Baker Eddy was greedy? Was that what you said, greedy? Because she did the same thing that men did, which was make money. Okay. Well, that is not the only point I got from your talk. But that did kind of lodge in my side a little bit. I was thinking about that ray gun, the pew, pew, pew idea, and thinking about how thinking about someone else and wishing them happiness makes you happy. And I think about that in the visual sense. Have you ever witnessed someone else do something kind for someone else? You see it on the street, you see it in the store, you see something happen, and doesn't it just make you feel so good? I think that might be the key here, my friends. I think that's what we need to be focusing on doing ourselves, because what better way to spread love than to be the visible manifestation of it and show people in action what that looks like. Makes you feel better, makes the person you do it for feel better, and everyone who witnesses it gets a little bit of that good stuff on them. That little ray gun of, what'd you say, confetti? That fairy dust, confetti, fairy dust, however your mind works. But I just got such a visual of that power of witnessing that kind act and what it does for us, and how that's the way we spread it, just like contagion, just like a contagious disease, except it's kindness and happiness. Thank you so much, James. Thank you. Okay, well, let's sing together again. Song number 24 from that Melodies from the Heart songbook. Stand as you are able, and we'll sing together.
Come into a healing time. We've come into a healing time. We've come into a healing time. We've come into a healing time. We heal with our hearts. We heal with our hands. We heal with our song. We heal with our love. Yeah. Come into a
doesn't it? One more, yeah, just for good measure. Well, now it's time to bless our offering and thank our Creator for the many blessings that we've been given and affirm our gratitude. So let's affirm the truth about ourselves. This is how it goes. My name is, and you use your name, and I am prosperous, always and in all ways. So let's say that together. My name is, and I am prosperous, always and in all ways. Remember, always means forever and ever and ever and always, as in all forms. So I want you to really feel the power of those words as we bless our offering together and think about the prosperity, the lessons we learned about Mary Baker Eddy, where our history came from and where that power of that prosperity really comes from. So let's bless our offering together. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I share, and all that I receive. Thank you, Father, Mother, God. Amen.
Use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. I used to think God was the sun, God is the sun, but God's so much more than the earth and the stars, or all of creation. God is creator, makes all things new, meeting us to shine its light as me, as you. So use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I abide as you show me all that I must do. Command my hands, what must they do? Command my life, it's here for you. God is the love that heals all creation. God is creator, all and all. God needs us to shine its light as me, as you. So use me, oh
thank you for that. Great reminders all day. I just want to say that I am really grateful for this teaching that showed me that I wasn't a big mistake in this world. And that I do have divine gifts to give. And this is the most precious gift that I can give, is being a prayer chaplain. And I had a little bit of experience before I came here as a practitioner with CSL, the Centers for Spiritual Living, which is the same foundation as this. So I was definitely called to do this work. And I appreciate everyone that comes to me with prayer requests, because it's an opportunity for both of us to grow and to heal. So I'm thankful for that. So let us all join now in thanksgiving. And as we come together in this prayer, we know that as we give where we are spiritually fed, that we gain so much more, that we are replenished, because that's just the nature of things, the law of circulation, like we like to say. So know that every time you give, whether it's here or within your family or to a stranger, you are replenished, because that's Spirit's way of saying thank you. Thank you for sharing what you have of your time, your talent, and your treasure to spread joy and love throughout this world, and to raise the consciousness of this world so it is a better place for all of us to live. And I know that we are all grateful for this, and I release this word into the universe, knowing that it is truly so, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Candy. We are truly blessed to have you serving this way. That's the beauty. When you know your gift and you share your gift, then everyone benefits from it. I thought I was going to get to pull myself together after that song while she started praying, and then, well, thank you for sharing a wonderful, emotional for me Sunday morning. I'm glad you could join us. I would like to remind you that our chaplain Candy is available for prayer support after the service today, and of course our prayer chaplains are available throughout the week. If you'd like prayer support, you can reach out to them at chaplains, CHAPLAINS @everettunity.org. Always reach out to Silent Unity if you need prayer support on off hours, but know that we have a strong prayer team to pray with you if you'd like prayer support. Our prayer chaplain team is going to be hosting our World Day of Prayer on Wednesday, September 13th. Now, many of you are going to say, World Day of Prayer is always on Thursday. Yes, you are right. It is on Thursday the 14th, but we're going to be part of the kickoff on Wednesday the 13th, and then all day on Sunday the 14th, you can join in online at Unity Worldwide Ministries. And I think if we don't have a link up on our website yet, we will have a link to the festivities and prayers and all of the activities that Everett Unity, that Unity Worldwide will have available. So you can come and join us Wednesday evening, September 13th at 7 p.m. It's a short, wonderful program of prayer and music for half an hour. Come and sit here in the silence with us and start that prayerful period of time as we move into the fall together. So we hope you can join us. So let's circle around the room after we say our prayer of protection and sing our peace song. I hope you'll come downstairs and enjoy some refreshments with us. And we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Papa, Papa. All right, everybody, we're going to